Coming up on Network Africa, Tanzanians await the result of Sunday's presidential and parliamentary polls as opposition party allege election irregularities. Students' protest continues across some universities in South Africa, despite the president agreeing to freeze increases. And South Sudan's Riek Machar and Salva Kiir mark UN 70th anniversary with a cutting of cake in the capital, Juba. Hello and welcome to Network Africa. I am Adeshawa Josh. We will be bringing you a summary of weekend stories that made headlines during the weekend in Africa. But before we do that, let's bring you the latest on the Tanzanian elections. Well, Tanzanians were at the polls on Sunday to choose a new president and, of course, to elect a new parliament. The ruling party was indeed in the lead throughout the elections. But to get the latest on that election, I am now being joined on the program by VOA's Vincent Makori, who's been monitoring the elections. He joins me now from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Thank you so much for making our time to speak to us on Network Africa. First, give us a feel of the mood in Tanzania as the electorates await the results of the polls.
It's mixed feelings. Yeah, you know, there are some who have already received their results, especially at the parliamentary level and civic level. The Electoral Commission chairman has been releasing some of these results from different regions piecemeal. And so for those who have already won, they're celebrating, their supporters are celebrating. But for those whose results are yet to be announced, there's anxiety in the air. Some are getting impatient because they want to see their results being announced as soon as possible. Of course, also as they announce the parliamentary elections, they're at the same time announcing the presidential elections from different regions of Tanzania. So people are closely monitoring to see where their presidential candidate is doing better or more strongly, and they're particularly keeping an eye on those areas where each party considers a stronghold.
It's no doubt, it's a keenly contested election. And in your opinion, you've been on ground for the past couple of days. How will you describe the electoral process?
Well, the electoral process seems to have been really well crafted. I think the process has been smooth. There was satisfaction across the board as far as the conduct of the election is concerned. The only problem and a little bit of the dark spot on this is that the opposition had claimed way before that there are schemes to rig the election or in some way interfere with the process. And so far, there have been a few issues here and there, and they're claiming that perhaps there will be areas where they definitely are going to consider the process to have failed, failed particularly the opposition. Right. But observing how the conduct of the election went down, you can say it was properly done. The process was smooth, and there were procedures that made sure that if you're in the register books and you have your voter's ID, you could go through the process and cast your vote and go home.
That's quite interesting. Now, Tanzania's opposition, Chadema party, is alleging police detained 40 of its volunteers. Are you aware of this? What can you tell us about that?
What's happening is that they found some of these gentlemen and perhaps their ladies who are using computers to kind of, what they're trying to do is to collect the results from the different polling stations and compare with the results from the Electoral Commission, because this is what the opposition had said earlier, that they're going to make sure they collect their own numbers from the polling stations and make sure that the Electoral Commission is going to release results that correspond with what they have. But apparently, from the point of view of the police, these people did not have a right to be privately collecting this information, because they say only the Electoral Commission has the authority to release any final numbers. And I think they're looking at them as perhaps being in a situation where they might end up releasing their own independent results which could lead to confusion and perhaps incitement among the citizens. So they've been detained. Probably they might stay in jail for a few days before they can be taken to court.
This is obviously against the rules of the electoral processes, isn't it? I mean, Tanzania's opposition cannot indeed say that it's the volunteers have done the right thing, can they?
They insist. The leader of the opposition, Mr. Edward Lowassa, just a moment ago, addressed a press conference where he said that the young Tanzanians who are doing that have a right to do that. That all they're doing is just to make sure that the numbers are correct. They're not necessarily making any official or any public announcement about these numbers. All they wanted to do is just cross-check, just make sure that the numbers they have will eventually, when the Electoral Commission announces their results, correspond with that. So they're not, they insist they did nothing wrong.
Okay, so before I ask you the final question, which is how soon the results going to be released or announced, we hear the ruling party is in the lead. Can you confirm this? And I mean, is this rather unexpected?
Well, I can say it is not necessarily in the lead. People are looking at, certain regions of the country. There is no clear picture yet as to really who is in the lead, because they have not announced from a majority of the precincts where you could say perhaps the opposition has a bigger following. Some of the results are being released from areas where the ruling party has big supporters, or really more supporters, in the far-flung rural areas. So up to this point, perhaps until later tonight, we may get a better picture. But I think at the moment we can say it is still up in the air. We cannot say who's really, truly leading in this race.
Finally now, when we expect this result, tonight, tomorrow morning, how soon?
Everybody wishes that will be the case, but the Electoral Commission says that they could announce this on Thursday morning, and perhaps if circumstances that demand that, they could do that on Friday. But again, they can do that tomorrow if they have all the numbers, and perhaps there's pressure from the opposition to do that. If there is no reason to stop them or prevent them from certifying these election results and releasing them tomorrow. But as things stand right now, they say they could do that on Thursday morning.
So you would say that what most people are saying about the fact that so far Tanzania elections, presidential and parliamentary polls, has been successful, or rather largely peaceful. Do you agree?
Largely peaceful. The process went down well. There were some skirmishes here and there, but you cannot say that it was a terrible process. The test of everything is going to be the final results. Will whichever party loses concede defeat? That's the problem. And I think that is the biggest test in this election.
VOA's Vincent Makori there for us, Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, speaking to us live on the updates of the Tanzania elections. Thank you.
Most welcome.
Let's take a short break on Network Africa. When we come back, which university? Johannesburg, University of Cape Town, and the University of Western Cape remain closed as some students continue to protest tuition fee hike in South Africa.